Heartwarming journey. After 15 years, this little girl discovers an incredible truth that changes everything. Emma was no ordinary girl. She was a little spark of sunshine crowned by wild curls and a smile that could melt ice. At just 8 years old, she lived in the coziest little town with her single mother, Sarah. Their family-owned bakery wasn't just a business. It was a haven filled with the warmth of freshly baked bread and laughter that echoed amid the sweet aromas wafting through the air. But life was no fairy tale. Beneath the frosting of their quaint bakery lay the bittersweet reality of financial struggles. Yet Sarah was a fighter. With every dough she needed, she shared dreams with Emma, the importance of hard work and kindness. One quiet afternoon, Emma's curiosity led her to the dusty attic. The floorboards creaked beneath her tiny feet as she rummaged through boxes until her fingers brushed against a pile of letters tied with a faded ribbon. Excitement bubbled inside her. She tugged them out, their edges tinged with time. Carefully unfolding one, Emma read her mother's passionate words about music and dreams. Shockingly, it revealed a long-lost sister named Lucy, estranged for 15 years due to a bitter family feud. Emma's heart raced as a wave of emotions flooded over her. Family was everything, and now it felt like a fragile thread was about to snap. As weeks turned into days, small-town life continued. Whispers floated through the bakery, growing louder when Lucy returned, a glamorous musician from the city. She ignited a conflict within Emma, torn between wanting her mother to embrace her sister and fearing it would shatter their delicate routine. Emma's heart ached. How could the idea of family bring both joy and chaos? Just then the annual talent competition loomed ahead, the very moment Emma had dreamt of to honor her mother's sacrifices. But it wasn't just about music. It was about bridging the gap between two sisters. Would she be brave enough to step into the spotlight with the community watching? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the big day approached, Emma wrestled with her emotions. The support of her friends and neighbors ignited a fire in her heart, stirring the whole town to stand with her against the prejudices and disparities they faced. Together they rallied for justice, turning confusion into hope. On stage, nerves tickled Emma's stomach as she prepared to perform. She spotted her mother in the front row, tears glistening in her eyes. Everything they had endured swelled within her. As she took a deep breath, she could sense the community holding its breath with her. Would she bridge the chasm between her mother and Aunt Lucy? The moment her voice filled the room, the world faded away. For those electrifying minutes, Emma poured every ounce of love, heartbreak, and hope into her song. Eyes closed, knees trembling, she let the music wash over her, igniting forgotten emotions. What awaited them after this moment? As she belted out the final note, the applause erupted. But amidst it all, one figure in the back of the room stood revealed. Emma's heart raced. Change was here. But would it bring healing or deeper division? The applause reverberated in Emma's ears like the beating of her heart. She blinked through the haze of emotion, scanning the crowd until her eyes locked onto the striking figure at the back, Lucy. For a fleeting moment, the outside world faded, leaving only the weight of this very truth. Lucy stood there, her expression a mixture of pride and uncertainty. The acknowledgement of their ties danced bitterly in the air. Emma's legs trembled as she took in the scene. The warmth of applause didn't feel like enough, not yet. How could she expect everyone, including her mother, to mend the rift that had lingered for years? A sense of urgency washed over her. What if this stage was just the beginning? What if it was the first step toward healing that frayed bond? After the performance, the crowd began to disperse, but Emma felt an invisible tether pulling her toward Lucy. Mustering every bit of courage within her, she stepped off the stage. Moments stretched longer than moments should, each footfall echoing in her chest. She imagined many endings, but now, standing before the woman she thought she'd never meet, she felt time slow. Emma! Lucy's voice resonated with a tenderness that broke through her defenses. Emma could see the truth drowning in her aunt's eyes. You were incredible. The words hung between them, heavy with years lost in miscommunication. Emma stared at her aunt, the woman who branded their family name with her music yet carried an untold story herself. An ache brewed inside her. "Did Mom know I was going to sing about her?" Emma asked, her voice laced with apprehension. Lucy's face softened as she took a tentative step closer. "She did. She was preparing for this moment even before you were born. Why didn't she tell me about you?" The question slipped from Emma's lips, uninhibited by her usually cautious nature. "We all make mistakes," Lucy replied, her voice tinged with regret. "Nobody handled it well and I left. But Emma, that era is for healing, not for holding grudges. We can change that." Just then Sarah approached, her face reflecting a mix of emotions, sorrow and hope intertwined. "Lucy, it's good to see you," she said hesitantly. The air hung thick with tension, but Emma could almost feel the sparks of change crackling between her mother and Aunt Lucy. Lucy's voice fell to a whisper. "I'm so sorry for everything. For being gone. I want to make amends. I want our family back together." Her vulnerability shimmered against the backdrop of their fragmented history. Sarah hesitated, a storm of emotions evident in her eyes. Emma's heart raced. "Please, Mom." "Emma, I don't know," Sarah faltered, her gaze flitting between the two women who shared her blood. Emma stepped forward, her small hands reaching out, resolute. "We can at least try, can't we? Just like how we always encouraged each other in the bakery. Give it a shot?" The weight of her mother's gaze was palpable. Would Sarah take that leap? In that moment Emma understood that this wasn't just about them. It was a chance for their family to rewrite the narrative they had been given, a shot at laughter, love and connection. But as Sarah opened her mouth to respond, a sudden commotion drew their attention. A few boys from town hurriedly whispered among themselves behind the bakery's entrance. Emma's sense of impending change tingled, then twisted with dread as she saw a familiar face among them, and her heart sank. What if they exposed secrets that could unravel everything they just began to mend? Fear and hope collided within her, and she knew their journey was only just beginning. Would they be able to overcome the shadows of the past? Or would new complications pull them apart once again? Emma's breath caught in her throat as the boys stepped into view, their laughter harsh and sharp, cutting through the tender moment that sat like a fragile bubble between her mother and Lucy. One of them, Tyler, known for his piercing comments and relentless teasing, caught her eye. He smirked, his gaze flicking between the three women, and she felt every heartbeat loud against the silence. "What's the matter, Emma? Afraid of your past?" Tyler called, his tone mocking, sending a wave of mortification pulsing through her. Emma could feel her cheeks flush as panic gripped her. She had just taken a step toward creating new paths with her family. Unraveling threads were dangerous, and Tyler seemed more than willing to yank at them. "Stop it!" Emma shouted, her voice stronger than she felt. "This isn't the time." "Maybe it's exactly the time," he replied, stepping closer, arrogance strutting in his stance. "You think singing a silly song will fix everything? They abandoned you once. What's stopping them from doing it again?" Emma's heart sank deeper. She could see the flicker of doubt in her mother's gaze, the uncertainty reflected back at her. "Emma, let's just," Sarah started, looking flustered as she searched for the right words. But Emma cut her off. "No, we can't keep pretending," she insisted, more tears welling up. "I need you to stay, both of you." Lucy reached out, placing a gentle hand on Emma's shoulder. "Don't let these boys get to you. They don't understand," she said softly, but Emma could see the worry in her eyes too. "That's exactly the problem, Lucy," Emma replied, the shaky anger rising in her chest. "They don't understand, but they might know something." Tyler's grin widened. "Maybe I'll tell everyone why your mom and aunt ghosted each other. Maybe they'll finally know what really happened." With those words, the fragile balance Emma sought felt ready to crumble. She looked at her mom, desperately searching her eyes for reassurance, for a sign that they could still steer things back to the hopeful continuity they had just begun to forge. "Emma, ignore him. What do they know?" Sarah's voice was shaky but had an undertone of strength, but the weight of uncertainty was oppressive, and an unsettling stillness hung in the air. Emma could sense the crowd shifting uneasily at the bakery, attention slowly shifting toward the commotion. "Do you think they want you like I do?" Tyler scoffed, smugness dripping from his words. "They left, Emma. They always leave. With a sudden burst of defiance, the words emerged like a brilliant, stubborn flame within her. No, they're here right now trying to rebuild everything. I won't let you ruin that. Finally, the air shifted and Lucy stepped forward, her voice firm. And I won't let you manipulate my niece. Leave her alone. The shift startled Tyler for a moment. Emma felt a rush of gratitude towards her aunt. It wasn't lost on her that this very act demarcated a flickering line of unity. But just when it felt like they had carved out a brave moment away from chaos, another boy stepped forward. Jesse, a friend of Tyler's, crossed his arms. You think it's just going to be perfect now? You think they'll ever want you for real? Jesse's words cut deeper than the others, beckoning Emma's insecurities. The walls felt like they were caving in. She couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows loomed larger than the light. Why are you here, Jesse? Emma asked, trying to maintain her courage. Why not just let us be? Without answering, he leaned into Tyler's ear, whispering something that made both of them laugh. Emma felt the weight of their disdain swirl around her like a dark cloud. All she had wanted was a moment of clarity and hope for her family. But beyond the laughter, uncertainty loomed, thick as fog. Would she give in to fear or push forward into the light? In that moment, Emma understood that the choice lay not just within her, but also rested with her mother and Lucy. As the crowd's murmurs grew louder, Emma turned to her mother, her voice barely a whisper. Mom. What do we do now? The answer hung heavy in the air, ready to shift their lives once again and perhaps reveal truths that had been hidden for too long. Would they embrace the shadows or stand boldly in the light? Maybe it was time for some uncomfortable truths to surface. The tension in the bakery was almost palpable. Emma's question hung in the air, a plea wrapped in uncertainty. She looked into her mother's eyes, hoping to find the reassurance she desperately sought. But the worry there only deepened her anguish. Sarah's gaze flicked between Emma and the mocking faces of Tyler and Jesse, as if weighing the cost of revealing old wounds against the urgency to protect the fragile peace they had just begun to rebuild. Sarah finally breathed, her voice wavering. Sometimes it's easier to let the past stay buried. Emma's heart dropped at her mother's words. Wasn't that what they had been fighting against? How could they conceal the truth when it lingered just beneath the surface, threatening to drown them all? I don't want to hide anymore, Emma insisted, her voice stronger, embodying the very resolve that Tyler sought to diminish. If there's something we've got to face, then let us face it together. Lucy stepped closer, her support palpable. What they're saying is cruel, Emma. They don't know your story. We need to own it. Yeah, Emma. Tyler snickered, crossing his arms and leaning against the display of pastries. Own it. Why did they leave you? What's this big secret anyway? Emma felt the heat rise in her chest again, a mix of frustration and fear. And just beneath that, a flicker of a question. Was there a truth too painful to bear? It felt like a wall inside her, built from fears and unspoken memories, was trembling with the weight of his attacks. Shut up, Tyler. Lucy shouted suddenly, her voice ringing out like a siren. You don't know anything. Just because you think you can't get hurt doesn't mean others should be made to suffer longer. The bakery erupted in whispers at Lucy's assertion, but Tyler's laughter only grew. Oh, touchy, are we? Maybe everyone should just hear what really went down between Emma's mom and her aunt. For a moment Emma felt paralyzed. Images of family gatherings and laughter flashed through her mind, twisted with the shadows of her past, the abandoned arms of the one she loved most, the words left unsaid, and the gaping wounds of what could have been. Mom, please, Emma whispered, looking down to conceal the tears that were threatening to spill over. Tell me it's not what he says. Tell me the truth. And there it was, the invitation she had longed for, poised on the edge of vulnerability. For just a heartbeat the world fell silent, as if every person in the bakery held their breath, awaiting the revelation. Sarah began, her voice trembling but firm. There were reasons, complicated reasons, but before she could finish, Jesse interjected with a false cheerfulness. Or you could just save it for the drama club, right? I mean, come on. This has all the makings of a Lifetime movie. Enough. The command came not just from Lucy, but from Emma herself, the fierceness within her giving way to unexpected strength. We are not your entertainment, Jesse. This is our life. Everyone seemed to shift, recalibrating their perceptions, tension spreading like wildfire through the crowd. Sensing a shift in the atmosphere, Emma found her footing. In that second, she let go of the need for their approval, turning instead to the two people near her who mattered most. Mom, Aunt Lucy, whatever it is, I want to hear it. Please. We have to share it together. Sarah blinked, caught between heartbreak and hope. Emma's insistence ignited something deep within her, a thread of resolve woven into the heart of the gathering storm. All right. We owe you that much, Sarah replied, her voice steadying with purpose. As Emma felt her mother's grip on her hand tighten, she realized that perhaps they could shed their past burdens together. As a family, maybe pain could transform into healing. But just as her mother opened her mouth to speak, Tyler cut in once more, a venomous grin creeping back onto his face. Let us hear it then. The truth about Emma's family is going to be epic. With that, uncertainty and anticipation clashed, and Emma realized this was just the beginning. Would they uncover the truths of the past, or would the shadows take over once more? Sarah took a deep breath, her expression shifting from a mask of fear to one of fierce determination. "'Kay then. Hear us the truth you've been asking for." The room quieted, the murmurs fading as everyone leaned in closer, eyes trained on her. "The reason your aunt and I were separated. It's not something I've ever wanted to talk about. It's messy and it's painful. But you deserve to know. We lost our parents when we were young. It tore us apart in ways I can't explain," Sarah started, her voice trembling slightly but filled with a quiet strength. "In the wake of that loss, I made choices that pushed her away. It shattered our family." The bakery was wrapped in silence. Emma felt the weight of those words hang heavy. The image of a little girl losing everything began to materialize in her mind, a haunting reminder of how pain could warp love into distance. "I thought I was protecting you, Emma," Sarah continued. "From the heartache. From judgment. From the painful scars that we never healed. I never wanted you to go through what we did. I wanted to give you a better life." Emma's heart raced. She had always felt the gaps, the silences where laughter should have been, the secrets coated in sugar and flour, hidden beneath the warmth of the oven's glow. "But by keeping it all from me, you only made it worse," Emma whispered, a painful clarity settling over her. Lucy stepped in, her presence as solid as the flour bags stacked against the wall. "You were both children of grief, Sarah. There's no guidebook for those kinds of choices. We've all made mistakes." She glanced at Emma, her eyes softening. "What matters now is how we move forward." Tyler scoffed, arms still crossed defiantly. "Wow, what a sob story. You think people actually care? This isn't a soap opera." But even he seemed less confident in his taunts, the electricity in the room charging against his smirking facade. "Enough." Emma's voice rang out again, and this time it was laced with courage. "It's our story. If you don't want to hear it, you don't have to listen. We're breaking free from its shadow starting right now." The bakery erupted with a flurry of whispers again, eyes darting from Emma to Sarah, then back to Tyler. Everything in that moment felt crucial, like a dam about to burst. "Emma," Sarah said softly, "your aunt and I need to tell you everything. This isn't just our story. It's yours. You deserve to know how we went from sisters to strangers." "I need to hear all of it," Emma insisted, her chest tightening. "If we're going to heal, we can't leave anything out. I don't want any more secrets." Jesse, still leaning against the wall, lowered his voice. "This is getting real. And maybe kinda serious." "Shut up, Jesse," Tyler snapped, but there was less venom in his words now. With hearts bared open, the two women began piling on pieces of their past, tales of laughter shared amid tragedy, moments of rebellion against their grief, and choices that had seemed impossible at the time. It felt almost sacred as they laid it out, the atmosphere around them crackling with connection. Emma felt lighter with every layer they peeled back. The realization dawned that their shared struggles could forge a new bond. "Maybe we've been afraid of the wrong things," Emma said, glancing at Lucy. "Maybe together we can change it. Let us try to understand one another." As the last words of the recount faded into the air, Emma realized that she was starting to see not just who she was but who her family could become. Still, there was one dark corner left unexamined, a bitter hint of unfinished business lurking in Tyler's smirk, waiting to unleash a final blow. Just as Emma opened her mouth to suggest how they could move forward, he interjected, "But what if there's more? What if everything you think you know is just the tip of the iceberg?" And with those words, the air thickened once again, pregnant with all the possibilities lurking in the shadows. Emma felt the room tremble as Tyler's words hung in the air. The weight of his challenge pulled everyone in tighter, their breaths caught in a mix of tension and curiosity. "What do you mean?" Emma asked, leaning a bit closer, heart racing. Each word from Tyler felt poisonous yet oddly magnetic, as if the truth he hinted at was a dark treasure buried deep within familiar ground. Tyler wore a sly grin, relishing the moment. "Just that maybe the story isn't finished. You think you both have it figured out, but does anyone really know everything?" Emma swallowed hard. Was there something more? Had Sarah and her aunt really opened the floodgates to all their truths? She turned to Sarah, gauging how the revelation had struck her. "I can't believe you'd say that, Tyler," Sarah finally replied, her voice laced with disbelief. "We're trying to be open here." Open? Or just skimming the surface? He kept his gaze fixed on Emma, who felt the heat of vulnerability threaten to consume the room. "We're sharing what we can," Sarah said, a defensive edge creeping into her words. But that didn't satisfy Emma. "What are you trying to get at, Tyler?" Her brow furrowed. "Is there really more? What else is there to find?" He shrugged casually, but the mischievous glint in his eyes revealed a deeper intent. "What's family without secrets, right? Maybe there is something else left to uncover. Maybe it's all about choices, things that might shake the very foundations of this reunion." A silence descended, thick with unspoken thoughts, and Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. She knew family histories could be complicated, but what if hers was entwined with even darker tales? After all those years of wanting answers, was there still more pain lurking under the surface? As if sensing the tension, Lucy stepped forward, attempting to restore calm. "Let's focus on healing now, Tyler. We don't need to turn this into a circus act." But Tyler leaned back against the wall, crossing his arms defiantly. "Or a fairy tale. It's all just a little too neat, don't you think? I mean, what if the truth could change everything?" His words were a fistful of shattered glass, sharp, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. "I want to know everything," Emma said firmly, the determination rising within her again. "If there's something we haven't faced together, we need to. I won't live in shadows anymore." Tyler's smirk faltered, and for a brief moment, uncertainty crossed his face. But then he masked it with forced confidence. "That's cute. But you really think you can handle what I'm talking about?" "Yes." Emma's voice surged, echoing in the bakery. "I do." The rest of the group shifted, caught up in the tension. Lucy's eyes darted between Emma and Sarah, concern flickering in her gaze. Sarah finally broke the silence. "Maybe it's time for both of us to dig deeper. If we're really going to heal, we have to confront every part of our story." Tyler might not be wrong. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. Was Sarah really willing to peel back more layers of their past? Then let us do it. Let us find out what's hiding in the shadows. Tyler smirked again, appearing all too pleased. "Fine. Let us uncover the truth. But be prepared for what you might find," he warned with an unsettling grin. As his words echoed around them, Emma took a deep breath, a mix of fear and excitement surging through her veins. What had they begun? And then came the quiet, creeping realization that this wasn't just about uncovering family secrets. It was about rewriting their futures too. "Someone's going to get hurt," Tyler added. But Emma wasn't sure if it was meant for her, or for someone else. With a sudden push from inside, Emma felt a flicker of hope. "Maybe healing can come from facing the darkest parts of ourselves," she said softly. Still, unease wrinkled the air. What did Tyler really know? Emma stared him down, realizing their journey was only beginning. What truth lay waiting in the dark? Emma's heart raced as uncertainty swirled in the air. Each silent moment felt like a countdown, tense and thick, as if the universe itself held its breath. She glanced at Sarah, whose eyes reflected a blend of fear and resolve. For too long they had danced around the truth, but now the music had stopped, and it was time to face the silence. "Okay," Emma finally said, breaking the stillness. "Let us talk about it. Let us dig deeper." Her voice wavered, but she stood firm. She could feel her pulse pounding in her ears, every heartbeat echoing a newfound determination. Lucy shifted, her brows knitted together. "I just want everyone to stay safe. We can only heal if we're careful." Tyler chuckled softly, that teasing smirk still plastered on his face. "Safe? That's a good one. But if you want to heal, you've got to be willing to bleed a little first. Enough with the games, Tyler, Sarah interjected, her voice sharper now. What do you know? What can you tell us? The room grew heavier as Tyler's expression turned slightly serious, as if pondering the implications of his next words. All I know is that sometimes the people closest to you have histories you wouldn't believe. Family can hold on to secrets like treasures, but those treasures can hurt. A lot. Emma felt a chill creep up her spine, an instinctual warning that something important was about to surface. What do you mean by hurt? She pressed, her throat dry. Think about it, Tyler continued, pacing the room, hands gesturing animatedly. Every choice has consequences. What if some choices weren't made for love but for survival? What if the reason you've been drifting in your own family story is because that story has holes, gaps filled with pain, not joy? An uneasy quiet settled again. Emma's mind raced, replaying her family history like a movie. All the moments she brushed aside, the conversations left unsaid. What did my mom face? What did she sacrifice? Tyler paused, taking a breath that seemed to draw all attention. There was a time when your family had to choose between what was right and what was safe. Sometimes the strong choices hurt the ones who deserve to be protected the most. Emma swallowed hard. You mean there could be a reason I felt like an outsider? Maybe you were never meant to be, Tyler replied, his eyes narrowing slightly. Maybe it's more complicated than love or loyalty. Secrets can twist families into knots, and sometimes those knots can break a heart. Sarah shook her head, visibly shaken. No, that can't be true. I refuse to believe that our family is that broken. But Emma sensed the doubt creeping in. Even she wrestled with the implications of Tyler's words. We can face this together, Emma urged, determination firming her voice. Whatever it is, we should face it as a family. I want to go back into the shadows. Tyler regarded her with a newfound respect, his smirk fading into a thoughtful look. Maybe you do have what it takes, Emma. But remember, it's not just the past that needs confronting. What do you mean? Lucy interrupted, her concern bubbling to the surface. Tyler smiled then, and it wasn't the teasing smile from before. It had an honesty to it that sent a shiver down Emma's spine. Every wound needs tending, but it's the fear of reopening them that keeps people stagnant. If you're going to uncover what's beneath the surface, you're going to need to ask about the present too. What are you all hiding? Emma's heart raced. The stakes were rising, yet deep down she felt alive with possibility. Was this the anger that came before resilience? She couldn't back down now. As the conversation swirled and tension escalated, she realized they were daring to tread where many wouldn't a path that could either heal or hurt further. So what do we do? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, though everyone seemed to hang on her words. Tyler leaned forward, his eyes glimmering with the promise of revelation. You ask the hard questions and be ready for the answers. And with those words, Emma knew they stood on the brink of something life-changing. Yet in her gut, she sensed the impending storm. They had opened a door, but what awaited them on the other side? Suddenly, she wondered, were they fully prepared for the truths that lay ahead? Emma held her breath, feeling the weight of Tyler's words settle over her. The walls seemed to close in, every corner filled with the unspoken burdens they all carried. The silence was thick, nearly suffocating as she dared to look around the room. Each face held its own mix of fear and hope, uncertainty flickering like shadows dancing in the corners. Is everyone ready? Emma finally asked, her voice breaking the tension. She searched Sarah's eyes, which were now wide but resolute. Lucy nodded slowly, though she still looked hesitant. And Tyler? He remained a steadfast figure, his confidence unwavering. Ready or not, we have to do this, Sarah said, her tone firmer now. It's time to confront whatever it is that's been lurking in the dark. Tyler leaned against a wall, crossing his arms, almost like he was waiting for a show to start. Let us do a quick round. Everyone shares one thing they've kept buried. The weight of secrets can crush you. It's time to lift that weight. Emma inhaled sharply. It felt like a game show, but with the stakes running deeper than any prize money. What could she possibly reveal? What was hidden in her own heart? I'll go first, she said, emboldened by her own willingness to face the truth. I always felt like there was something missing in our family, like I didn't truly belong. Sarah shifted in her seat, her expression a mix of sympathy and guilt. I get that, she sighed softly, rubbing her temples as if trying to soothe an invisible ache. I always thought we were fine, but there were moments when I felt like I was just pretending. Lucy piped up next, her voice trembling. I thought if I stayed in my lane and didn't rock the boat, everyone would be okay. But keeping my thoughts to myself has made me feel more alone. The revelation hung in the air, heavier than before. Emma's heart swelled with empathy but also trembled with anxiety. They were scraping the surface of their lives, peeling back the layers. But what would lie underneath? Tyler moved forward, his gaze piercing. You've taken the first step, but it's just the beginning. The real challenge is asking about the things that hurt bad enough to make us silent. He seemed to be looking right into Emma's soul, prompting her to dig deeper. Fine, she retorted, testy nerves bubbling. What about you, Tyler? What are you hiding? He hesitated, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. It was rare for anyone to put him on the spot. All right, he said, pushing back with a feigned casualness. I'll reveal my secret. I didn't always care so much about being the joker. Once I was scared stiff in my own skin. Jokes were my shield. Emma stared, her mind racing. You? The realization began to take shape. I thought you were always confident. Confidence is just a mask, Tyler admitted. But the laughter, it helped everyone. At least until it didn't. Their eyes locked. A moment of understanding, all but unspoken. With each shared truth, the bonds between them felt both fragile and infinitely stronger. Now imagine if we talked to our parents, Sarah murmured. What if they've been struggling too? Lucy's brows knitted together in consideration. Do we really want to dive into that? Emma felt a spark ignite inside her, illuminating the shadows that had clouded her family for too long. Yes, we do. What if they hold the keys to understanding everything? Tyler shrugged, a ghost of his former arrogance returning. Not everyone's going to be open to truth. They might push back. But Emma's heart raced with the thrill of a challenge. She could hardly contain her excitement. But doesn't that mean we need to try even more? What's the point of living a half-life? If there's a chance to understand our past, so we can finally heal to be whole. As they rallied together in the shared conviction, the air in the room shifted. Hope hung palpably now, weaving through their confessions. Yet even with that hope, a nagging question lingered. What if confronting the past caused more chaos than clarity? Just remember, Emma said quietly, being brave doesn't mean no fear. It means doing it anyway. And so they prepared, hearts thumping, for the conversations ahead. What truths would emerge from the dark? Would they uncover more than they bargained for? The anticipation crackled in the air, the excitement of a journey just beginning. What awaited them now, an answer or another question waiting to be asked? Emma's pulse raced. She felt a mix of excitement and dread curling in her stomach. They were ready to break down the walls that had held their truths captive for so long. Okay, so who do we start with? Sarah's voice trembled slightly, revealing her nerves. They were all teetering on the edge of something monumental. That much was clear. I say we start with our parents, Tyler suggested, his tone surprisingly serious now. They raised us. Maybe they have their own stories, things we don't even know. Lucy swallowed hard. What if their truths are too much for us? What if? She trailed off, grappling with her fears. That means we dive head first, Emma replied, trying to spark some courage in their hearts. We can't fear what we haven't faced yet. They might need this just as much as we do. In that moment it struck Emma how deeply they all were entangled in a web of unshared histories. The thought of their parents opened up a churning sea of possibilities that could either drown them or set them free. Let us plan a dinner, Sarah proposed, her eyes brightening with newfound determination. A family dinner where we can talk. Just not like we usually do. Like a family intervention? Lucy's brows shot up, skepticism lacing her words. Not an intervention. More like a conversation starter, Sarah corrected, a determined smile forming. Get everyone comfortable first, then ease into the heavy stuff. We prepare them for what's coming. Emma nodded, excitement bubbling within her. We could even write a list of questions. It'll keep us focused. Look, we've got this, Tyler said, exuding his earlier confidence. We set the stage. We let our parents know we're ready to hear them out. The thought hung sweet and heavy in the air. Emma could imagine the dinner, the nervous laughter, the clinking of silverware. the soft murmur of hesitant voices. It felt both thrilling and terrifying. But as the adrenaline coursed through her, it was tinged with an undercurrent of anxiety. What if the truths their parents held were too hard to bear? What if they had been hiding something unbearably painful? Okay, Lucy finally spoke, bringing everyone back to the plan. When do we do this? Emma glanced at Tyler and Sarah, and a plan formed collectively. Next Sunday. We can ask our parents to come over and make it an early dinner. That way. It's casual, but we have the chance to get serious. Sounds good, Tyler agreed, his expression softening as the gravity of their mission began to settle in. The notion of Sunday seemed to hang like a promise in the air. A date marked not just on a calendar but in their hearts. A chance to heal. But beneath the excitement was another question that gnawed at Emma. What would their parents say? What if they weren't ready to face the truth, or worse, what if they had their own burdens that could shatter the fragile harmony they had barely built? I just hope this doesn't blow up in our faces, Lucy said quietly. Emma felt a wave of nerves crash over her. Me too, she whispered back. But somewhere deep inside, she felt a flicker of faith. It was their time to confront the shadows as they settled down for the evening. The uncertainty of that looming dinner felt like a bright star in the sky, both a flicker of hope and a portent of storms yet to come. Would they find the answers they craved? Or would their journey crack wide open into an abyss? The reality wasn't set in stone. The dinner was just the beginning, the prologue to a story far beyond their expectations. What awaited them next could change everything. Or risk losing it all. The sun set low over the little town, casting a warm golden glow that embraced the bakery like an old friend. The scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the anticipation that filled the air, hanging heavily around Sarah and Emma as they prepared for their family dinner. Are you ready? Emma asked, her heart beating like a drum. It felt as if they were standing at the edge of a great leap. Sarah looked at her daughter, her expression a mix of anxiety and determination. I will be, she responded, her voice trembling slightly. We both will be. As the clock ticked closer to the hour, Emma helped arrange the small round table in their cozy dining room. They set out plates, silverware, and glasses that sparkled in the fading light. Each piece felt like a silent promise, a promise that they were willing to face everything that lay ahead. When the doorbell rang, Emma's heart felt like it might burst from her chest. They're here, she whispered, glancing at Sarah. The moment had arrived, and with it, the weight of all their hidden truths. The door swung open, and there stood Lucy and Tyler, sharing hesitant smiles. Behind them walked Sarah's sister, Emma's Aunt Lucy. As the adults exchanged warm greetings, Emma quietly took a deep breath, sensing the charged atmosphere fill the room. Everyone settled at the table, smiles masking apprehension. Emma's eyes flitted from her mother's face to Lucy's and finally to Tyler. She felt a mix of love for them all, and an overwhelming fear of the challenges that lay ahead. Okay, Sarah began, her voice steadying as she looked around the table. Let us dig in and talk. But deep inside Emma, she longed for more than just small talk. She wanted the truths that had remained shrouded for far too long. Can we just jump into it? Emma blurted out. It wasn't her typical way. But there was an urgency in her heart. An insatiable need for openness tugged at her soul. Everyone fell quiet, surprise lighting up their faces. Emma held her breath, desperate for a sign that this was the right path. I think Emma has a point, Sarah said, glancing nervously at Lucy. We've skirted around it for far too long. The atmosphere shifted. Those unspoken words hung like heavy clouds pregnant with rain, ready to pour down. Let us begin with our past, Lucy said softly, her voice imbued with both strength and sorrow. We need to face what we've avoided. No more pretending. Emma felt the warmth from her mother's hand as it gripped her own, a reassurance that they could do this together. Emma, you deserve to know the truth, Sarah continued. You always have. We need to own our mistakes. Emma nodded, urging her mother to continue, her heart swelling with hope. There were times when Lucy and I were hurt, and regrets shaped our choices, Sarah confessed. Some decisions I made were terrible, and they led to us drifting apart. I thought I was protecting you, Emma. But at what cost? Emma murmured, understanding well where that cost had landed them. I thought that by keeping you safe from our past, I wouldn't pass on the pain, Sarah replied, her eyes glistening. Lucy added, but darkness is better faced together. We thought silence would shield you, but it only left you feeling isolated. That was never our intention. The truth felt like a cathartic release, washing over them like rain quenching a long drought. Emma could sense the healing taking shape with every honest word exchanged. Tyler shifted in his seat, a thoughtful expression crossing his face, before he caught Emma's eye. "You're so brave, Emma. Facing down the darkness when you could run from it takes guts." "I just want us to be whole," Emma replied fiercely, her heart firm in its resolve. The conversation flowed from their stories of mistakes, regrets, and moments they wished they could take back. With every shared confession, the bonds between them grew stronger, layers of hurt slowly peeling away as the night wore on. They laughed and cried together, memories blending with apologies, forging something new from the broken pieces of their past. Emma felt the weight on her heart lift as compassion replaced despair, and the shadows of secrecy faded beneath the glow of honesty. But even as they shared and healed, an underlying current of uncertainty lingered. What would come next? This was only the beginning of their path forward. Wrapping up the evening, Sarah looked around the table, her heart swelling with love for the family where she saw healing take root. "We have to remember that this is an ongoing journey," she reminded them. "We have to continue to communicate. As we share our stories, we'll rebuild trust." One by one, they nodded in agreement. As the evening settled, Emma felt a profound sense of peace. Their family wasn't perfect, but they were all trying to heal, trying to connect, trying to create a future filled with hope. The darkness had indeed transformed into light. The missing piece within Emma felt filled at last. "You know what?" Emma smiled, beaming at the people gathered around her. "I think we're going to be all right." And in that moment, surrounded by love and resilience, Emma realized that family wasn't just about being bound by blood. It was about being bound by the choices they made choice after choice, leading them to a brighter tomorrow. As they cleared the table, Emma welcomed the dawn of what was to come. It wouldn't always be easy, but together, they were ready to embrace whatever truths awaited them next. Now is your time, guys. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the chance for the next exclusive stories. Trust me, it's worth it. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm, and get ready to comment with your heartfelt reactions and feelings about this ending. But let us not stop there. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.